Oh,
Another one? Your name's over to do.
Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Before we get into our regular agenda, first order of business is we're having a public hearing for Fair Housing Month. Because we deal with the state and federal governments, we are required to have a public hearing every month for Fair Housing Month. Strange part is we don't really have any low-income housing in Ridgeway. Or actually we do, it's on Bates Road, but it's in the village. So, and I assume the village also has to do that. But we are required to have this. Anybody that has any questions, we'll try to answer them. I have been designated as the Fair Housing Officer. I'll tell you right now, I am not an expert on these things. So I will try to answer as best I can. Okay, so just ask you to state your name for Lori to get into the record, and we'll open it up for comments.
So, yeah. We don't get any compensation.
Looking at this.
704.
Check this with CPA. Ding. No.
Yep.
Okay. We have been told we're required to hold this open for at least 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. Any questions? If not, okay, then we'll close the public hearing and we'll go into our regular board meeting. I'll move to order. Ask everyone to stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Accept the agenda. Additions, deletions, corrections. All right. If not, motion and a second to accept the agenda, please.
So,
Moved by Mary,
I'll second.
second by Dwayne. All in favor?
aye.
All opposed. Okay. Next, approval of the minutes from March 16th meeting. Again, any questions, corrections, additions, deletions?
Good job.
If not, ask for a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Okay, moved by Cliff, second
I'll second.
by Dwayne. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Communications. Our application for Water District 15 was denied by Congressman Kenny for office. Apparently they had some other ones and they keep telling us that it's too small, too disjointed, but we have some other alternatives we want to do. We'll just keep plugging. So, okay. The annual budget was certified by our auditors, sent to the state. They were here a couple of days last week, and we also had later on, we have to approve letters to them that they represent us and that they will go for us in case there happens to be an audit. Okay, just let everyone know. Next, and you may have seen this around town, there's black boxes on certain telephone poles where they're on a pole. The DOT is doing traffic counts. They kind of look like those motion detectors that they put in the woods for deer and other animals. I sent them a message out to the board, and I said, "Look, if you happen to see one, just smile and drive by." Okay, and that's basically the county trip. Okay. Any questions with those? The communications. Okay. Dates of the next meeting, May 12th, 7 p.m. for the workshop here at Town Hall. And then May 18th is the board meeting, 7 p.m. here at the Town Hall. Okay? Any questions with those? Okay. All right, old business, again, Water District 15 applications. We've got other options we're looking at. And John, our highway superintendent, and our engineers, hopefully we can get something done. Just trying to get the town finished off. Okay. New business. First up, a resolution authorized budget transfer in DA accounts. This increase in wages needed for snow plowing. Probably don't have to tell everybody it was a really tough winter. A lot of snow. In fact, we had snow last night. Yeah, I remember that one. But anyway, so because of that, if they just move some money around and pay the guys and they're out there, late night, early mornings, that sort of thing. So we have to move $2,682.47 from DA 5148 to DA 5142 100. And ask for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Dwayne, second.
Second.
Second by Cliff, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, okay. Next, resolution. Authorize supervisor to sign engagement and representation letters for our allied CPAs. These are the fellows that did our audit and sent it on to the state. It's waiting. They did an excellent job. They were here for a couple days. But between Hannah and Joanna, they do an excellent job. And even the guys complimented them and said it's very easy to do our audit. And they like to come out here because they get out at one time on. So anyway, ask for a motion and a second, move it please.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mary, second
I'll second.
by Dwayne, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, okay. C, resolution, accept and approve 2025 audit from the LICPA with thanks, and then we can send it on to the state. Okay, ask for a motion and a second, please. Moved by Cliff, second.
I'll second.
Okay, by Dwayne, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, okay. Next, resolution, approved license renewals for the following junkyards. Ridgeway Salvage, Paul Naaman, Dunn Auto Parts, Danny Dunn, and Sherry Auto Wrecking, Roger Sherry. Yes, so, is it, Aaron, you and Dan went out and did the inspections?
Yep.
Yeah, everything's good?
Everything's good.
Okay, good, so, just ask, we'll send those out. Ask a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mary, second. Okay, second by Dwayne. All in favor? Aye. All- okay. Next, appointment to Board of Assessment Review. Julie, let me know if I got these right. Stacy, Silker, and Darlene Hartley?
Correct.
Okay, what's the term?
So they're both gonna be a 5-year term.
Okay,
What happened was 2 years ago, I had a member move, and last year that position didn't get filled. And now another one, their position just ended, so now they will take place of this one. So they'll be on 2 different terms,
okay,
but they're both 5-year terms.
okay. And they both accepted to do this?
Yep.
Okay. So ask for a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mary, second.
Second.
By Cliff, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Okay, thank you. Okay. Next, fire company. Tyler?
So for March, we had 36 total calls, 9 of which were hazardous conditions. 1 was a water rescue motor vehicle accident during all the flooding. And we had 20 EMS calls, 1 brush fire, 2 automatic alarms, 1 appliance fire, 2 motor vehicle accidents, not including the water rescue one. I can read that again slowly if you need to write that down.
I can give it to you after.
Okay.
I lost one, yeah.
That's fair. Tanker went in for extensive electrical repairs. It's only a 2021, but lesson learned, we will never buy from that outfit again. The guy repeatedly told us how lucky and how close we were to that burning down our firehouse. Yeah, so when it came from the factory, they never programmed the Kuzma auto charger. So it was set for like 25 amps at 17 volts to charge it. And if it was set for anything longer than a 10-minute increment of charging, it probably would have blew batteries up. And there was a bunch of other stuff too. Currently our second run pumper with our Cascade system on it is out of service. It's up in Churchville, getting needed repairs. Now that we have the new truck, we can send that out for some love that it needed. Gun raffle is May 2nd. Tractor pull is July 25th. And we have just some station maintenance planned coming up. We're gonna get some insulation done in the center section of the fire hall and some gutter work done after all this ice this winter. Tuesday nights, we're there every week, 7 o'clock.
Okay. Right.
Is this meeting for taxes?
It's the
Oh, where's the meeting for taxes?
It's the town hall.
yeah, it's a total. Okay.
So we're here. Right. Okay.
Do you want to say this?
Okay, next, department meetings. Lori?
So Hannah, the conference is currently at conference in Albany. Water bills went out, so they've been coming in like crazy. With those. Second notices went out for the last month of tax collection, which was done at the end of April. And the contract office has updated the ordinance book, and we have digitized all of the laws and ordinances in the computer. And hopefully very soon we'll have a shared file so that everyone will be able to access all. So that's good. Yes. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Aaron?
I guess I just have 2 more weeks of classes, so
Okay. Congratulations. That's it. Candy?
Audit response to the state, is Hannah working on that?
Yes.
Okay, great, that's all I got.
Oh. Well, she asked me about that this week, I said yes. It's, yeah. Mr. John?
Oh, after the long winter, we started tearing down some plow trucks. I'm not so sure that we can break them all down yet. Window, but waiting to start the spring cleanup. It's still a little wet out there. We do have a lot of trees that are on the edge of the road that need to be cleaned up, but we'll make a bigger mess at the moment trying to clean them up. So we're going to hold off on that. We're patching potholes, installing some culvert pipe, and doing sign repairs.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. Right. Okay. Julie?
I have completed the townwide reassessment of all the properties. Letters have started, arriving this past Friday. I encourage everyone to review their notice carefully. If they have questions about their assessment and how it was, determined, or believe that there may be an error in their property information, to please contact my office. I'm happy to review the property record, explain the process. I have already started informals, and will continue the rest of this week, and into next week. May, I will have appointments as well. The appointments in May, I encourage property owners to bring, a realtor's analysis, an appraisal, comparable sales. Right now, I have no problem taking informals before the tentative roll. I'm here, I will explain the process. In May, I really like appointments to properties, homeowners that have done their homework, are bringing information, that show why they definitely could not sell their house for what the assessed value is given. They can always call my office, still more than happy to talk with them and do all of that. And then just to remind everybody that, yes, this reassessment, has reoccurred after 3 years. Previous to that, it went 6 years, but that was due to COVID. So this is, right on par with what New York State wants us to do every 3 years. So, that's it.
Thank you. Right, let's see, no one is here for the legislature. Jess, anything from the village?
Not at this time.
No? Okay. All right. All right. Council member reports. Any?
None.
Okay. Gary?
It's been quiet,
Okay.
so that's good.
Okay. That's it?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, all right. All right. Now, the motion and second pay bills, please.
Move.
Okay, moved by Cliff. By Wayne, all in favor? Aye. All opposed. Okay, all right. Open session, public comment, questions, concerns, just state your name, so we get into the record. And start. Well, you go first. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Roselle Havano. How often are we gonna get reassessed all the time? I mean, this is getting ridiculous.
Well,
I mean, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's,
well, the state requires that we do it 3 years. The whole idea behind that, I think I'm wrong, Julie, is they want the assessed value of properties to stay current with, markets, okay? And like I say, they tell us that we're supposed to do every 3 years. If we don't, that, affects your assessed value percentage. And what that affects is, I mean, things like, your, star exemption. If that percentage starts going down, whatever that assessed percentage is, that's what you will get for a star exemption. As an example, I've used this before, there's a town in the county that didn't do an assessment for a reassessment for years. Their assessment value went down to 65%. And that's all you will get on your star exemption. But it's not just that. The state ties it into other things. and act to try and make it an incentive to do it every 3 years. For example, that percentage also affects ag exemptions for the farmers. Okay? So, you know, if it goes below 100%, they're not gonna get their full assessment or their full exemption, thank you. But that's why we do it. And I know you're not the only person to ask me.
So in other words, our taxes just skyrocketed.
No, not exactly.
Because those percentages don't go down, they just stay the same or go up all the time.
Well, not really, because I remember a year when they actually did go down. It was a bad year for real estate, and
Yeah, and that was how many years ago?
5 or 6, I'm not sure. No, I remember them going down because I get a sheet at the beginning of September when we start working on the next year's budget. And it shows the change from year to year. And I didn't have to check it. I said, went down, and I checked with our assessor at the time. And she said, yes, it did, because real estate sales were slow. They were hardly getting around. And the sales of business properties was down. Oh, all right. Well, I was learning along the way too. So, yeah.
Because I'd love to get what I was assessed for. I'd love to have that amount of money. I mean, there's no way nobody's going to pay that kind of money.
Well, mine went up too. I mean, and even here, I mean, it's there. I mean, mine went up. I'm not afraid to tell you, mine went up $48,000. That was surprising.
Oh. Well, I'll take that over what mine went up.
Well, I'm in an old farmhouse.
Well, so do I. Join the club. I mean,
Yeah, no, and I saw one. No, I saw one price today. It was a small house, and it's relatively new. I think it's more than 10, 12 years old, and it was listed for over $500,000. Whoa. But that's the other thing. The main one is, what I understand, what means Genesee County have said, it's been said that we are in a hot real estate market. People are moving out here from the cities, Buffalo, Niagara Falls, Rochester. We've seen it around. In fact, I talked to one man that said there's a house near him that's been bought and sold 3 or 4 times in the last 5 years. People move out. They're not sure. They don't understand the lifestyle out here. It's not like living in the city where you've got everything close. And they get out here, and then all of a sudden you find out travel time for work, all the events, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, wait a minute, I don't like this. They put it up for sale, sell it, and then another person comes and buys it. It starts all over again. And with the internet, it's another thing. I heard this from one of the other supervisors. He said his town has been getting offers or bids from out of the state and out of the country. He said he had one from Europe someplace, and he had one out of the state that was down south. I mean, people going on these, the realtors' websites and looking and saying, okay, yeah, I can put a down payment on this with a credit card and go from there. So I know it's that's something else that affects it. Oh, Maureen, go ahead.
Is anyone else?
Sure, go ahead.
My name is Maureen Blackburn, and I've lived in the town of Ridgeway for many years, but I have currently moved to Verona. However, I will qualify there and say that I still have a piece of property in the town of Ridgeway, which we pay a minimal amount of taxes on. Through the years, we had multiple properties and contributed quite generously to the tax base. So I don't feel I'm out of bounds as a Verona resident paying taxes here, not coming before you. So I would like to address Councilman Barber, Deputy Supervisor Napoli, and Councilman Mr. Payne and Jesse, if you were here. I truly believe, knowing most of you either directly or indirectly, that individually you are sincerely well-intentioned individuals. And for that, you have chosen to sit on a board and represent people, make decisions, and for the most part, do an honorable job in tough circumstances. Having acknowledged that, I have researched many websites, many reports, many offerings from folks in the community. And this, folks, is the New York State Controller's audit of the hospital insurance. For a better word, debacle. It's 15 pages long. It is currently available on a link through the hub. I don't know if it's available here in the office to be read, and certainly isn't available at the library at this point. I would encourage anyone who cares about penny one for health insurance to access this report and read it line for line, highlight it, as I have done, read it numerous times, reference things from this report against minutes, against things that were inappropriately paid, tenure of individuals in positions here. And I think if anybody spends the time to really and truly dig down in this, what I have said for each of you individually as being well-intentioned, honorable individuals, collectively in this decision-making process, this oversight, and your fiduciary duties have fallen far short of what your constituents should have received. There's a couple questions I want to ask before I dig into this briefly. I would like to certainly acknowledge Councilman Barber and Jesse if you were here. I know full well from all of the minutes I've perused and the research I've done, you're new. You are not a part of the decision-making process that took place or didn't take place during this health insurance situation. So for that, you're a brave man for coming forward and hopefully bring a new professional and oversight responsibilities. And secondly, I'd also like to acknowledge Hannah, who's not here, and I don't really know all of the workings of her current responsibility as clerk to the insurance oversight. It's my hope that she's turning over a new leaf and hasn't taken the practices of her mentor, the retired clerk who has moved on, because I think Hannah has an incredible responsibility to make this happen and make it happen right. Because the previous clerk, in all honesty, I don't really believe represented that office and that responsibility the way you people expect that she was doing. And my final question and the reason I'm asking these questions was because I really didn't expect to be able to stay. So you have all of this in those envelopes. There's a copy of this to be entered into the minutes that I've given to your deputy clerk. My other question is, I'm very uncertain as to who the bookkeeper is in this report. Is it Millennium Roads, your bookkeeper, or is there a separate bookkeeper for the town that would have been doing this work?
Well, going way back, before I got here, it was not Millennium Roads. In fact, we at one point, they had hired an in-house bookkeeper. Who that was, I don't know, but when they retired, when they did, my predecessor started looking around for a bookkeeper and found Millennium Roads, hired them, and worked with them ever since.
So Millennium Roads is the bookkeeper who oversaw the process of the health insurance applications, the approval for time of service and all of those things. It went to the clerk who calculated all of the individuals' alleged time here with benefits assumingly owed. And then it went from the clerk to the bookkeeper who initiated payment for this insurance for these individuals. Is that the correct flow?
And also, well, we approved them as payments because they go through us. And then the other was, and you're right, and there were, well, I was interviewed by the auditors, in fact, no one, I think Hannah and I were the most. And they were asked about different things going back. Well, I think they went back even before I was here. And I said, I can't really tell you what happened then. In fact, I would have to start asking, I go to former board members. I said, what happened way back when? And they said that at times when some of these things started, or they had no guidance from the comptroller's office or the state because it was a new program.
Well, my concern is right now in this time frame of this audit. It went from the clerk who researched the time and the alleged eligibility, and then it went to the bookkeeper to cut checks for the insurance, the current bookkeeper.
Okay.
And that's Millennium Roads?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think in the interest of being sure that I touch on everything, and I hope everyone will indulge me for a few minutes, I'm going to read what I presented to the council. Noted as follows are points I feel need to be highlighted as reported to the New York State Controller Thomas, as reported by the New York State Controller Thomas PNAP, his health insurance benefit audit of the town of Ridgeway. Vague policies lacked clear guidance, and this is a quote from the report, clear guidance as to eligibility as to who received health insurance benefits, a lack of written procedures regarding compliance, and a reasonable review and updated policies. And I'll interject here that I don't believe there was reasonable reviews. I don't believe there was appropriate oversight. Further, eligibility oversight was completely neglected and resulted in health insurance benefits given to ineligible officials, monies owed by one official uncollected, and entirely too much trust placed in the offices of town clerk and bookkeeper. While it is ultimately the responsibility of the supervisor and the town board, oversight did not occur. This resulted in nearly $250,000 in misappropriated funds. The supervisor, as I quote here, the supervisor told us, meaning the auditors, he relied on the bookkeeper to determine whether an elected or appointed official was eligible to receive post-employment health insurance benefits. Additionally, in quotes, the remaining 4 board members, and that would exclude, I'm assuming, Mr. Toussaint, the remaining 4 board members told us they did not think it was their responsibility to verify health insurance eligibility requirements. I know when you bold print something, it sounds like you're shouting, but that's not the intent of my bold print in this report. It's to highlight the importance of what I'm saying. If it isn't the responsibility of the supervisor or the town board who created these policies, voted to adopt them, and required that the town board and employees signed off on a personnel manual, who then fulfills the duties and responsibilities of oversight and fiduciary accountability? Something to think about. While there are numerous glaring instances of leadership neglect, 2 are especially troubling. From finding item 2 of this report, the supervisor did not ensure that the clerk collected health insurance benefits totaling $52,659 from one board member who was required to contribute toward their health insurance premiums. Finding 3 from this report, the board did not have documentation to authorize health insurance reimbursement to a former official's spouse. This lack of documentation results in Medicare Part B insurance being paid to a spouse of the clerk in the amount of $4,901. Additionally, this individual is the person entrusted with much of decision-making and calculations regarding these benefits. I believe the old rule, trust but verify, would have been most prudent here. And briefly, when these observations are very serious, so too are many other items noted in the report, which I am not addressing tonight. Going forward, I encourage the supervisor and the town board to make every effort possible to recoup the monies misappropriated or not collected. The town attorney should, in conjunction with the supervisor, town board, and Melissa Myers, the chief of the municipal audits from Buffalo, who is in this report as well, should work to assure that the public funds received are expended appropriately, audited regularly, and policies updated on a rotating schedule. This should be part of the corrective action plan. The corrective action plan is something which the board is now required to develop within 90 days to address all of the shortcomings which have been spelled out in this report. I request that this document, my paperwork here tonight, be entered into the Town of Ridgeway board minutes of the April 20th, 2026 public meeting, and that a public notice be posted as to the availability, location of this document and the audit report, and the collective action plan when completed and approved. As I said in the beginning, each of you individually are well-intentioned, honorable people. I don't doubt that for a moment, and I say it in all honesty. Collectively, your duties to make sure this kind of situation doesn't happen didn't seem to come together as a board. And for that, I'm extremely disappointed. I know when you do the corrective action plan, you're going to be sharpening your pencils, making sure that everything in here that needs to be addressed according to this document, this report, is addressed. And I would hope that you would make every opportunity. I'm not the only one who's seen this report and has been very, very upset. I hope you will make an honest effort to rebuild some of the trust that the community has placed in your responsibilities. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, and the thing is too, what else has there been an issue with too, besides just the health? I saw that. I saw some of that report. That's a chunk of change. That's a big chunk of change.
And to let you know, we talked about it at the workshop. I am working with Hannah to write up the corrective report, which you write less than 90 days. We send it over to them. They will look at it, and then they will issue their final report or whatever, and then that will be posted on the comptroller's website. But yes, we are working on that now, and as an idea with some of these, some of the monies that were paid that should be up, I made phone calls and sent out emails, whatever, cutting them off. And to the point where I received and I told the board this, received a snippy email from one of them wanting to know why. And I told them, you didn't earn it, you shouldn't have it. The person who moved out of state, they wanted to know if I did this with anybody else that didn't qualify or shouldn't get it. And I answered the email with one word, yes. And that was it. And then they came back. But yes, so we are working on it, we're working on the correction plan.
And it's due 90 days from your receipt of this report, correct?
Right, yes.
And what else I'd like to know too is, are the health insurance benefits that are paid to everyone around here, are they being adjusted, for lack of better words, to like what the normal people around here pay?
Well,
in other words, like, I mean, and I know there's some health insurance plans that you're paying out the eyelids for, because I was in health insurance. I know. I mean, I've seen it already, where you're paying a couple $1,000s for an individual coverage. I mean, most places these days will probably pay for the employees or a good portion of the employees. You wanna add a spouse or other dependents, yeah, you're gonna pay.
Well, what we do is,
And it depends on the type of plan as well too, because a lot of them are going to these HSAs or, whatever be the case where there's, I don't wanna say substantial money's out of your pocket, but yeah, I mean, I thought it, and I'm on Medicare. I mean, I'm not afforded the luxury of, I pay if I'm in the hospital for a day, it's gonna cost me like $600 and some a day. I mean, if I'm in there for any length of time, God forbid, I'm gonna end up with a chunk of change for a hospital bill. And I even hate to tell you how much I get a month. It's not much.
Brian, I have one more thing that really puzzled me from this report, and perhaps you can address the situation. The audit was expanded, and it went back to 2017, 2018. And they could only go back that far to find comparable amounts as to compare it to what this current 3-year situation is. My question is, because they could only go back to 2018, and they stated in the report that they had to cut it off there because there were no hospitalization records that had been kept prior to that date. What now happens with an employee from that era, in that time frame, who would have been getting 10 years worth of coverage, and say you have some sort of situation that you have to have verification or information for, you've got a block of 2 or 3 years in there that you have no records for, that would take you through 2028 to go back to. And I mean, you do have the newer terms went from 10 years to 5 years, correct? Some of the policies. Am I correct on that?
what we do is,
It was a 10-year period, but now it's changed to a 5-year period.
because every year we work with an insurance broker around during the summer. What he does is, based on requirements or what we're looking for, he will go out and shop houses. He comes back with 3 choices. He says, okay, these are the 3 that fit your needs. You decide which one you want, and then we'll go from there. And then we take into account people we have here. Like Kenny has 4 children, and one of the fellows in the highway department, he has a couple children. Ivy, who is Julie's assistant, she has 2 children.
My question though is, what happens? I mean, is there an arbitrary amount of time that you don't want to keep these records? Because you really do have people that could conceivably still be in this block of information that you could possibly need for something going out to 2028 that you had no documents for. It said there were no health insurance records beyond 2018.
We only go back 7 years. In fact, that was brought out when the auditors were here, because they wanted to know about going back so far. And we said, okay, brought the records out. And they asked, can we go back any farther? No, we use, I believe it's an IRS rule. You only have to keep records 7 years. It's like your tax returns. Keep them 7 years. After that, we get built up in the vault.
I guess I'll have to research that to see if it applies to municipalities.
Okay.
That's kind of a homeowner's kind of thing, but I'll research it.
Well,
No, that's fine, because I know some records we keep forever. I mean, like death records, birth certificates, that sort of thing. And we have to come in and want to know about some great grandfather, some genealogy study on the family. Okay, we understand that. Some other things we don't. We're told that, no, 7 years. I came in here one day and the truck was backed up. Anything more than 7 years was going through the shredder. And
Well, an insurance company will keep them, so you can go back to them.
Well, employment records.
They may have it in storage somewhere, and it may take them a while to get it, but they do have it.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening.
Anytime, that's why we're here. Okay. Okay. Now, any other questions, comments?
I actually have one for, what's her name, Julie, when this is all done.
We can, if there aren't any other questions, we can end the meeting and then we go from there. Anyone else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Cliff, second. I'll start, second by Wayne, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Okay, thank you very much.